Well, good morning. It's Tuesday morning. Today we're going to read John 20:11 through 18. Mary stood outside the tomb, and as she wept, she stooped to look into the tomb. And she saw two angels in white, sitting where the body of Jesus had lain, one at the head and one at the feet. They said to her, "Woman, why are you weeping?" And she said to them, "They have taken away my Lord, and I do not know where they have laid him." Having said this, she turned around and saw Jesus standing, but she did not know that it was Jesus. And Jesus said to her, "Woman, why are you weeping? Whom are you seeking?" And supposing him to be the gardener, she said to him, "Sir, if you have carried him away, tell me where you've laid him, and I will take him away." And Jesus said to her, "Mary." And she turned and said to him in Aramaic, "Rabboni," which means teacher. And Jesus said to her, "Do not cling to me, for I have not yet ascended to my Father. But go to my brothers and say to them, I am ascending to my Father and your Father, to my God and your God." And Mary Magdalene went and announced to the disciples, "I have seen the Lord," and that he had said these things to her. So this is right after the story of Easter morning in John 20, where she goes to the tomb very early in the morning and sees the stone rolled away, and she runs back and tells the disciples, and Peter and John have this foot race to the tomb, and John makes it clear that he got there first, but Peter went in the tomb first. Little rivalry there. They saw that his body was gone, and then they left. And Mary stayed around, and that's when she saw the angels, and then she saw Jesus. It's pretty clear from the different Gospels that Mary and some other women were the first ones to see the resurrected Lord. In this case, it's Mary. I think in some of the other Gospels, it's Mary, the mother of Jesus, and maybe another Mary. So there are all these Marys. But Mary Magdalene's had kind of an unfortunate career since her death. There's a story in one of the Gospels where Mary Magdalene washes Jesus' feet and anoints his feet with perfume and stuff. There's another story in a different Gospel where a woman who's a prostitute does the same thing to Jesus on another occasion. And Mary gets identified with that prostitute very readily. And in fact, Gregory the Great, the Pope in the 7th or 8th century, preached a sermon in which he basically said Mary Magdalene was a prostitute, and that's terrible. So we've been trying to rehabilitate Mary Magdalene over the years in biblical studies, and it's a little slow. But if you really read the Gospels, Mary turns out to be one of the central figures. She's one of the main disciples. She's right there with Peter, James, and John a lot of the times, and she certainly should know Jesus, and so she couldn't recognize him outside the tomb there. That's an interesting dynamic. And then he says, "Don't cling to me, don't hold on to me. I haven't ascended yet." So we're not sure exactly what all that means, except he's saying, in some ways, he's saying, I'm not back. I mean, I'm here, but I'm not coming back to be with you. So don't hang on to me that way. And it's clear that he's risen, and he says, go tell my other disciples, and they do learn from her that he's alive, and they meet with him later. He appears to them, so the first person who Jesus sees after his resurrection is a woman, and a woman of somewhat questionable repute. I think that's fair to everybody in the world of scholarship. So we're not quite sure about this Mary, but she is she's the first witness, and we need to remember that when Jesus comes back, he's just like he was before he died. Who's he appear to? Not the chief priest, but some woman that they can't even take seriously, and that's the way the gospel gets spread. So keep that in mind today, and realize that if you have all kinds of titles and degrees and stuff, you might not have been one that Jesus would have appeared to at all. So if you're nobody, maybe Jesus is closer to you than he would be to someone else, and maybe you need to remember that. So remember that today. Have a great day, and we will see you tomorrow.